Finally the season's done. I've got two gentlemen whose opinions I really respect, DJB and Kenny Ken. How you lot doing, gentlemen? You good?
Yeah, I'm good now. I've had a bit of a weekend, but yeah, I'm all okay. DG, welcoming me back, and glad the season's kind of ended. Really. Yeah,
I think I hear you. I can hear it in your voice, man, and I think every Arsenal fan echoes the same thing. Kenny, how you doing, man? I can see you combing your hair. But how are you doing beyond that?
Yeah, I've just got in the shower, came out for a run, and yeah, just want to make sure that I don't have any patches in my hair. But yeah, I echo what DJB says. I'm glad the season's over. It's been painful. I think it culminated last Wednesday with Spurs winning that trophy. I think Arsenal fans, real proper Arsenal fans, understand the pain we feel. Others, need to, ask themselves why they support Arsenal, what they actually know about this football club. Because seeing other teams lift silverware, especially our rivals down the road, let me say in no uncertain terms, they've had a better season because they've won one of the biggest trophies in Europe. Doesn't matter if we're not in the same competition as them. The fact is they won silverware and they got the parade. And everyone's going to forget they finished 17th.
But have they really had a better season than Kenny if they have finished 17th?
They have, yeah. Because they've won silverware. The main, Danny Blanchflower, who is a Spurs great from the double winning sides of 1961, says repetitively, obviously, God bless his soul, he's no longer with us, but he says it goes back glory. It's back glory. And the fact is, with Arsenal, you can win trophies without your best players. You can win big games without your best players. We've kind of fallen into that sort of comfort blanket of, there's extenuating circumstances why we finished 10 points beyond Liverpool. There's one of the things there where Arsenal fans need to stop making excuses and see it for what it is.
Fair. And DJB, where do you stand on the whole Spurs winning the trophy?
It was painful, man. It was painful. And I didn't realise how painful it was going to be until it actually happened. It was a lot of mixed emotions of anger, frustration, bitterness, and a lot of questions. I kept going in my head, why is this? Why didn't we do that? Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? Why didn't we sign this one? Why didn't we do this at the beginning of the season? And it was all coming to a sort of crescendo, and it got a little bit too much, to be honest. I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it when I knew Man United wasn't going to get the equaliser and take it to extra time, and the game was petering out. I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch any of it. Even the parade, I couldn't watch it. I heard it was on. It was all too painful. And it's true what Kenny says, unless you kind of follow, if you've when you've been following this club for as long as we have, our European campaign for a club like Arsenal has not been very, very good. It's been pretty
filled with pain,
pretty diabolical. So there was all these factors of Spurs winning a European trophy, irrespective of where they finished in the league. That didn't matter. The actual facts and history will show that they won a European trophy, and we haven't won one, and it's painful. It is painful, and I mean, people will say, DG, about who's had the better season and everything else. I look at it this way: when you're a fan and you go to football matches, you go for the kind of buzz, the vibe, and everything that goes with it. And being at a final and winning a trophy, whether it be at Wembley, whether it be in Europe, whether it be in a Carabao Cup, that is the pinnacle of going to football. That is the ultimate of going to football. And once you're in that final and you're in that stadium, you don't even look at the league position. You don't even worry about the league position.
You don't necessarily even care.
No, you don't care. You don't care. And if you ask any Spurs fan, there'll be concerns, no doubt. That, you know, they'll probably turn around and say, yeah, we're concerned about our league campaign. We're concerned about what's happening long term. But the bottom line is they're not going to worry now they've got a trophy in the cabinet and they're in the Champions League. And Arsenal fans ain't going to like this, but we have become the new Spurs. We just play white.
God forbid.
No, we have. Real talk. This is how it is. We're the ones without a trophy now. You know, we've become, you know, we're the ones without a trophy. Chelsea have lifted trophies. Tottenham have now won a trophy. You know, all the top 6 clubs have won trophies under this manager since Arteta's been in charge of Arsenal. So we're getting left behind, and it needs addressing big time. It really does.
I'm going to come back to that with addressing DJB, and if I forget, let me please make sure you remind me. I want to go back to what Kenny said. Kenny, you mentioned something, I don't know if you remember, but you mentioned something along the lines of Arsenal fans or certain Arsenal fans make too many excuses. Now, I'm pretty sure all 3 of us know exactly what you're referring to, but for someone that might not, what do you mean by that?
Well, the fact is that you only have to watch Thierry Henry.
We're going to get into that.
You only have to watch Thierry Henry to see that he has a winner's mentality. I mean, he talks about the Barcelona team that beat Man United in 2009. If anyone doesn't know, I'm going to ask you guys a question. What position did Yaya Toure play in that game?
6.
He played number 6. He played centre half because the
whole that tells you everything. Yeah. Oh yeah, he did.
Except for Gerald Piqué.
Yeah.
Piqué. Whole back line was that. Henry and Iniesta could barely walk, but they still won that game. I think the mentality was to win that game because Barcelona have to win trophies. And I think at Arsenal Football Club, we have a small club mentality when it comes to defending the invincible. Like with Arsene Wenger, when Arsene Wenger was going through the 12th trophy drought of 9 years, we defended the indefensible by saying, well, you Arsenal fans are spoilt by success. You can't win all the time. That there has to be a transition period. We're now being defending indefensible by saying, well, look where we were before. Look at where the club was. Look what Mikel's done for this club and how ungrateful you fans are. And look at this season. We've had Saka out for 3 months of the season. We had Havetz out 3 months of the season. We've had Odegaard out for a good couple of months.
More injuries than you can count.
But the fact is that top teams still win trophies, still compete in big games. And let's not forget, they weren't talking about injuries when we beat Man City 5-1. The game where everyone's sitting to get on the score sheet.
Or when we won the league at Old Trafford, or Real Madrid.
But even now, this season, we won 7-1 at PSV. Everyone thought that we'll get over the line, but it'll be a bit of a struggle. We beat Real Madrid, the cup holders, European Cup holders, for, you know what I mean? And we weren't talking about injuries then. Let's not forget, we lost our best performing defender in that game, but we still got over the line. But because we finished 10 points behind Liverpool and we went out these competitions, the same people who I'm tired of naming are making the same sort of excuses defending the indefensible. And the reason why they're doing it is because they got vested interests. I should stop calling them Arsenal fans. I should call them the vested interest circle of trust brigade, because that's all they are. That's all they are. And they know who they are. And I have no problem having a go at them. They don't intimidate me. I'm not scared of them. I'm not afraid of people who've got channel subscriptions of 1.5 million pounds. I don't want your money. I've got what I want. I've just renewed my season ticket. That's my £1 million mansion. That's my gold medal. That's my Champions League medal. My season ticket. Access to what team I love. I'd put that before anything else, and I will still go. But just because I still go, and my family still buy merchandise, I'm not going to call it out any other way. We've had a very, very bad season, and that's factual. We went into last season. We finished last season where Mikel Arteta says, as good as said, we're that close to winning trophies. We don't accept second place. And if you look at the recruitment we had this season, he felt we were good enough to go again with this team. And we didn't deliver. Let's not forget, before the injuries, performances weren't great. We came out of that first 7-game period where we played very difficult opposition. We got through that. No one was complaining then when we got through Man City away, Spurs away, Villa. Now, all of a sudden, we get injuries. It's injuries an excuse. Bournemouth away, sending off, that's an excuse. 2 players kicking the ball away, one slyly, one blatantly. Oh, that's the reason why we didn't win the title. You know, the Premier League referees don't want us to win. They're Liverpool fans. It's the waffle and nonsense just continues. But the fact is, we're going to get to this. But as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to say this, I see this in Leeds Channel, I'm going to say it for your ears. I do not accept Mikel Arteta as a manager. From now on, if someone asks me, how long do you think Mikel's got? I'm going to say, we shouldn't be here in the first place. I do not accept this as my manager. There you have it.
Fair play. DJB, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I'm with Kenny on it. I think the time is right. And I've said this: the manager now is he's been found out. The team is predictable. He's predictable. He's proven time and time again that he can't change the way he plays in games. When he's under pressure, he finds excuses and he tries to turn the tables on them upstairs and injuries and all this stuff that he comes out with in press conferences and everything. Never takes responsibility, and it's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of weakness when you can't hold your hands up in a crisis, and when you can't hold your hands up and admit that you've done wrong, and the job, and things are getting too much. That's a sign of weakness, and we can't have a weakness now at this club. We're going in now to another season, next season, and we've got to hit the ground running. Every single game, this manager's going to be under pressure. All eyes are going to be on him. The media's going to be on him. Pundits, YouTube channels, fans, everyone's going to be on him right from day one. You know, he is now a sitting target. He really is, because every game he loses or draws, there's going to be questions asked. Every single game, and I don't think he realises. In fact, he's too cocky and he's too cocksure for someone that's never won anything major. I think he feels that he's invincible, you know, and I don't think he even realises how much pressure he's under next season. Because
you reckon he's under? Sorry to cut you as well. Go on, DJB.
Yeah.
But I just
he is because when you've had a team that's finished runners up 3 years in a row, that has to affect the players. It has to affect. It's got to have a mental.
This year.
Yeah, unbelievable. Expectation-wise, this year we've failed on all levels. We was expected to win a trophy. At one point, we were favourites to win the league. At the beginning of the season, people on TalkSport, pundits, reporters,
Even Gary Neville said we could do it.
Yeah, who's going to win the league? I think it's Arsenal. Everyone was saying it. Arsenal.
If City ever fall off, we're there.
Yeah, 100% DG, and it's failed. The expectations this season, and what happened was we was kind of bought into all of this. Oh yeah, we're going to win the league. Oh yeah, it's our season. This is it. And right from early on, you could tell there was chinks in the armour. You could tell. You could tell from the Brighton game. You know, you could tell from the early fixtures. We just weren't really playing. And then we had loss of form with players. And then obviously the natural process is you get injuries. All clubs get injuries. But when you get injuries on top of players out of form and not winning certain games, it all then adds up. And then the easiest option is to go, well, that's why we failed. That's why we didn't win, because we got injuries. No, the real reason is just that we've not been good enough and the manager's not been good enough. And this cannot go on. It's like we're talking about bringing in this player and we're talking about bringing in that player. All these players are coming in. They're still under this manager. They're still under the same system. They're still under the same robotic style of play. You know, they're still going to be guided by this manager. And I worry because now he's not only pressured. He's not only under pressure to get results. With the new signings coming in, he's under more pressure because everyone's going to turn around and say, right, you've got your team, you've got your striker, you've got this. Show me what you can do. And if it doesn't go right for him, you know, I fear the worst. And well, I fear the worst for him, but I think it'll be quite a joyous thing for me and a lot of fans, to be honest.
I mean, I can't blame fans in it. Like, people can like the manager, not like the manager, be on the kind of fence. People are allowed to do what they want. But I think if many fans questioned Arsenal's regime and what we're doing, I can see why they would have bought into the previous 2 or so years. And you would have thought this year everything would have kind of come to an end and we'd get over the line. I think personally, if we just want to be a team that's in and around and get into semi-finals and maybe can do it every now and again, we've got enough. But if we want to get over the line, which, going back to what Kenny said, which the manager, the players and everybody saying it, something has to change. It's like we're repeating the same old processes. I want to go back to what Kenny said, because Kenny said some people have a loser's kind of mentality, and I see one of the comments kind of what he's talking about. What did you mean by that, Kenny? And for those people that believe like that and always find excuses, how do they get out of that trail of thinking?
Well, first and foremost, I think if I can be bold, I want to address Harold Shane, and Clifton Richards. Firstly, Harold Shane, I will stop going Arsenal when I choose to. It's finished when I say it's finished.
He's paying his own money to do what he wants.
We go for 45 years watching Arsenal, and through my Adderhold, I've been going away games as well. Managers come and go. The football club's still going to be there. I do not believe in this manager because I believe, in my opinion, that 6 years is enough to take us as far as we can go. And that if you look at clubs across Europe, managers get probably 3 or 4 years or 5 years. I think he's gone over the parapet and he just hasn't brought success. He's left some good foundations, but I think his cycle of management is gone. As for you, Clifton Richards, it's good for your leader because you're not missed. You're part of the problem, Clifton. In fact, fans like you use any old excuse as to keep an underperforming manager. You will say,
or just have open dialogue about the manager. If I'm honest,
you would say, and I know you're still here. You say you're out, but you're not out, Clifton. We know you're waiting behind the scenes. We know you're watching, and now your name's been mentioned. You're going to stay here, so you're going to leave when I finish with you. It's very lazy to use that question. What's wrong with second place? What's wrong with who are you going to get? Well, you're right. A new manager wouldn't guarantee success. But what I do know is that after 6 years, the manager that we have is taken as far as he can go. But the team,
unless he proves everyone wrong,
Steve can go somewhere. So now you've heard what I say. You can go and get about your business. You have to accept, Clifton, as well, that other fans have opinions. We could all be like the podcasts you watch. We can all. I'm sure if I looked at your subscriber page, you'll subscribe to the main channel, the main fan cam channel. You'll subscribe to a few channels where they're level-headed. In fact, I won't mention them off camera because I've got a lot of respect for these guys, but I know who you watch. And you come here and you expect the same thing. But that's not going to happen because there has to be room, Clifton, for fans who are dissatisfied with what's going on. And that's just a fact, Clifton. If you can't accept that, that's your problem. If you want to go around telling fans that they've never had it so good and that they should be careful what they wish for and that, you know, we shouldn't be entitled, that's on you. But many fans are going to just tell you to go and take a running jump because shouldn't be told that. They should be expecting success. And if you still want to come out of that, I'm going to ask you one question. If you support a big club, then have the same mentality as befitting of a big club, and that's your supportership. You should demand success. You don't support Portsmouth, Plymouth, Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace won a trophy, so good luck to them. Or you don't support Charlton, you support Arsenal, the third biggest club in the country. And if it's too much for you to,
just be honest, consider the good, the bad, and look at the picture,
then that's on you. We're not going to stop demanding success because you're fed up of hearing what I've got to say or you're fed up with stream. Go away and go and watch your feel-good YouTube channels. Go and listen to your feel good podcaster, because I'm not your man.
I think Kenny Ken's bang on the money, man. I think we're not as bad as people make out. We're definitely not as good. It feels like we've been on this crazy journey, and the Premier League's title is where my mic is, and it's like we're here and we've just been complacent. For me personally, though, I just feel you're allowed to. People can think whatever they think, but if you rate the manager so much, you have to hold him to the standards he set. And even if you don't necessarily believe that, the man talks about silverware. The players talk about silverware. I think Arteta's got a lot of criticisms, but I don't think he's actually like some of these fans. I want to pick my words wisely, but I know football kind of reminds me of religion, innit? If you try and tell someone that something they believe is not necessarily true, or another trail of thought, you see the questions, really. And the thing is, they have to be honest. If Arsenal believe what some of the comments right now are saying, then we're not going to go anywhere. Yes, there's been some factors out of our control, but equally there has been. And for me, whatever you say, in the last 3 years, we've been in the title shouts. We've been talking about stuff. There's been different contexts and all those things. The bottom line is we haven't got over the line. And I don't know where people have it, if they want to put down to injuries, down to red cards, the summer, January, and everything in between. The bottom line is we haven't got over the line. How do we get over there? I don't know if anything changes, because I mean, I want to ask you lot, like, do you lot really feel Arteta is under pressure? Naturally, I get DJB's point about the pressure, but then I look at it. Bert has just come in. You've got a contract of 15 mil. You just signed that last September for 3 years. You've weathered harsher storms. And if we were to have a season exactly like this, where we get semi-finals, we finish second, but we don't get silverware, is the tide really going to turn? Not saying I necessarily want that to be it, because I would love to get over the line, but really,
I think the majority of whether you're Arteta in or Arteta out, whether you appreciate what he's done for the club and everything, and there are elements that I appreciate. There was a time when I was seeing a little, some progress, and I was starting to think, well, perhaps he is the guy. But in too many big games, he's failed. There weren't an injury crisis when we played Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. We had a good enough team on that day to beat Newcastle. There wasn't really much of an injury crisis when we played Man United in an FA Cup. We were playing at home. We had a good enough team to beat a poor Man United team, and we didn't get over the line. No one was talking about injuries when we beat Real Madrid, but they was all speaking about injuries when we lost against PSG. And this is what gets me. It's flip-flopping backwards and forwards to suit the narrative at the time. The fact of the matter is when it comes to big games, this manager has not been able to pick a system, to change a system, to take chances, to be brave in certain moments, to win big matches. He hasn't done it. He's had nearly 6 years. He's going into his 6th year. He's had plenty of time. He's had the money, because straight away people are going to say, yeah, but he's not been backed. He has been backed. He's had more than enough money. The signings he's made have not been good enough on the whole. He's made 4 or 5 that you may say, Raya, Rice. But other than that, he's signing left backs when we had a left back in Kieran Tierney, which he's let go for free.
I'm going to miss Tierney, man.
He's signing centre halves that he's playing at left back. He's signing defensive midfield players that he's playing as number 9s. And the list just goes on and on and on and on. His man management has proven woeful because of the amount of injuries we've had, like serious injuries, not just injuries that have been impacted by tackles, but in injuries that have been impacted by fatigue and demands.
A lot of muscle injuries.
Yeah, and demands on players. So, the guy that came in earlier, just look at the facts. Stop looking at the league table. Stop looking at certain games of the season when we beat Man City 5-1 and everyone getting gassed up about it and feeling good. Look at the facts. Look at the games we've played under this manager, big games, and look at the amount of times we have failed. And on every single level, every tick box, he's got a cross in it. And that is just facts. And we can go on and on and on and on and on and on. Spurs have won a trophy. Man United have won trophies since this manager's been in charge. Liverpool have now won a major Premiership trophy with a manager that's just walked through the door. There's no more excuses. And, you know, the longer it goes on, the more damaged it's going to be caused to this football club. And, you know, he is going to be under pressure because the likes of the fans like me and Kenny that go, there is still a lot of hardcore fans, and there's still quite a lot of fans that are kind of starting to swing the other way now. They are getting impatient.
Which they should be allowed to, man. Like, you're allowed to change your mind based on evidence.
Yeah,
I'm sure there were some people who never
100%.
rated him and then they did and now they don't. Like, the question is, can you get over the line? You're right.
100%. I gave him time. I'll hold my hands up. I was very patient with him.
There's nothing wrong with that.
He won the FA Cup. You know, he got us competing. Some of the football we was playing under him was exciting. But that slowly dwindled away. There was certain games, and I'm thinking, why has he done that? Why ain't he doing this? You know, and you've only got to look at the players that are playing under him. How much out of form they are. I mean, Martinelli's unrecognisable. Odegaard has gone downhill. He's had a dreadful season, and yet he's still captain. And it's all these little factors now, DG, that's starting to add up. And I used to get excited going into the new season. I couldn't wait for the first game and the fixture list and everything else. With this manager in charge, I'm like, oh, here we go again. You know, it's like having your worst friend come round for dinner or something. You know, you think, I've got to have him round, but Jesus, he gets on my nerves, you know. But do you know what I'm trying to say? I can't feel excited, and I want to feel excited again, you know. I've renewed my season ticket like Kenny because
you love the club.
We love the club, and the club hopefully is bigger than the manager. But sometimes I question that, and that's worrying for me when a manager thinks he's bigger than the football club.
And it's one thing for the manager, like it's another for the fans, man. I think too many people are concerned with hating Mikel Arteta and don't give him his flowers where they're due, and positive and constructive criticism. And I feel like, if I'm honest, there's this love fest with this manager where I'm actually fond of Mikel Arteta as a manager, like his philosophies, all of that kind of stuff. The issue is now I'm an Arsenal fan. I love my club. I don't love Mikel Arteta. I think he is going to win stuff in his career. If you don't do it at my club, I'm not really interested. I am not interested. The problem is people want to have their cake and eat it. You can't say he's the innovative guy. He's done this. He's done that. He's going to do this. He's going to do that, and not hold him accountable to the high standards. And again, even if you don't want to do that, just hold a man accountable to what they said. None of us are telling Arteta or the Cronkies or the players to come and say things. If you're saying you want to get over the line last, mate, and you're not, I think it's more than fair to have that conversation. It's just about getting over the line. We know we've got a good team, but we've not been able to. And I think a lot of things that fans like to console themselves with, which you and Kenny have touched on, are quite annoying, if I'm honest with you. Even silly things that sound good, like Liverpool are going to fall off in the second half of the season. We're saving ourselves to the second half of the season. If Man City ever fall off, we're going to be there to pounce. Now, in an ideal world, we had a great summer. We added quality. We added depth. City obviously would have fallen off this year. Us and Liverpool would have made more of a meal of it. I think there's a saying in life, as you two both know, you start as you mean to go on. And I look at the summer, I look at January, and I look at those above Mikel Arteta for January. It tells me everything I need to know. And it just feels like we're never on the right side of fine margins. Like I saw a comment about trying to rebuttal what we're saying about big games. I actually don't think big games, quote unquote, are an issue. It's the small ones that kind of paint the picture of the season. It's like we're a good team. We need to become a great team. And I think there's just too much nitpicking within the fan base. So then, yeah, obviously we've kind of touched on it and we've gone there. I kind of want to speak about the season, not really the season, but your thoughts beyond the obvious. Where you look at the Premier League, guys. Sorry, let me remove this comment. Big up, love Arsenal, hate the ops. 38 games played, 20 wins, 14 draws, 4 losses, 72 points. Second place, obviously, 69 goals scored, 34 conceded, plus 35 goal difference. Based on that, yeah, where do you think the season was won and lost in them 38 games?
From day one. From day one, as far as concerned, Dan. We from the first game of the season, we didn't look at it. You know, it's the first game of the season was a sign of things to come in terms of like the Wolves match. We won, but we got our side of the line. And then we thought we'd try to turn a corner when we beat Aston Villa. And then the Brighton game was again brought us back down to earth. And then so I think we thought we had something good going when we beat Spurs, because that's still a hard game, away game, and then the Man City result was a really, really good performance, but there was in the end we shot ourselves in the foot, and then it became clear to me Liverpool just kept on winning, and they came out the traps pretty quickly, and it was a case of we never really touched Liverpool. We never really laid a glove on Liverpool, and I think when it became apparent to me that we weren't going to win the league was December. Basically 2 games. Fulham away, when Liverpool, the Merseyside derby was called off because of the prevailing winds, and we couldn't get over the line. So basically, Fulham away, Fulham scored a great goal. We got the equaliser, but we couldn't beat Fulham. And then the week afterwards is where I think most Arsenal fans, I think 90% of Arsenal fans knew the game was up, was Everton at home. And it coincided with Liverpool playing Fulham at Anfield. Liverpool had a player set off, Andy Robertson. They were down to 10 men. Fulham were 2-1 during that game. Liverpool got the equaliser. Meanwhile, at the Emirates, we played Everton, who were basically a replica of ourselves, i.e. set-piece Everton. They're defending for their lives. They stretched us in the counter-attack. We just couldn't go over the line. And that was it. It was over as far as I'm concerned. Don't get me wrong. We won every game after that. We beat Crystal Palace 5-1, beat Ipswich 1-0, beat Brentford 3-1 away. But Liverpool kept winning, and it was always a case where Liverpool were always 6 or 7 points ahead of us. It was just when Liverpool dropped points, we just couldn't capitalise. Brighton away, New Year's Day again, we went ahead. They got a goal from something very a new
both Brighton games.
Yeah, new decision. But let's not forget, we had an odd penalty decision in our favour at against West Ham away. So it was a case of those dropping these points. Aston Villa again dropping points.
Unacceptable. That 2 goals up. That's the worst.
And the final nail in the coffin was West Ham at home. That was when it was undoubted we weren't going to win the league. When we lost to West Ham, we weren't going to win the league. Yeah, we weren't losing as many games, but we were dropping so many points. But I think the kind of Armageddon moment was Everton at home. That was it. December the 15th was the day when Arsenal lost the league.
Where you at?
No, Kenny. The Aston Villa at home 2-2, and then we went to Wolves 1-1-0, but it weren't really convincing. And then we beat Man City 5-1, and I thought if we're going to kick on, this is the time. This is the time to kick on. And then we put in that horrendous effort in the Carabao Cup against Newcastle 2-0. We beat Leicester, but it weren't convincing. We beat Leicester away 2-0. It wasn't convincing. And then on the back of that, you could see there was cracks. You could see there was signs of players not really kind of knowing what system to play. They looked lost. And then that all came to show when we played West Ham at home and we lost 1-0. And that West Ham at home when we lost 1-0, to me, was the really icing on the cake of the season. And then we drew 0-0 Nottingham Forest. Again, lacklustre performance. But I'll go back to when we played Southampton at home. The Everton at home was absolutely abysmal. And there was lots and lots of displays of that. There was lots and lots of games where we was playing like that. When we played Leicester at home, we wasn't good. That could have easily ended up, going.
Yeah, I'm sure Southampton and Leicester were like back to back.
Yeah, Southampton and Leicester, both games weren't really convincing at home. We struggled in a lot of areas. They was disappointed that they never came back with anything. And we drew 1-1 Old Trafford against Man United, and I'm thinking, okay, that's you'll always, no matter how bad Man United are, they're our rivals. You always go to Old Trafford thinking any result's a good result. And yeah, we just were struggling. We were just struggling. Everton, then we played Everton away 1-1, and then the draws kept rolling in. Couldn't get over the line. I mean, I think there was a stat, wasn't it? None of our players have scored more than 10 goals.
Yeah, I think we got 9.
all our
Since
players
19, 23, 24, something like that.
None of our players have scored over 10 goals in a season, which, when you think about it, is absolutely diabolical.
There's been injuries, but it's still horrible.
And you know, I saw it in the comments there. The season was lost in the summer, and I agree with that. I totally agree with that. When we didn't do the right thing, we needed an out-and-out striker, and we still do. We need an out-and-out number 9. None of this inverting, none of this dropping false 9, none of this can play on the left, none of this can play on the right. We need an out-and-out number 9, horrible, nasty striker. That's what we need, and that's what Arsenal was built on. And we haven't got that, and we need it. We don't need any projects. That's what we need.
I think you lot are right, man. I wish you were wrong, dude.
And the season shows that. Now, people are going to say, well, how can you blame the manager? Well, he's been pretty much in charge of all the transfers. Him and Edu was given the reins. You know, they was given the freedom, and it was their decision and his decision who he wanted. And that's a fact, you know, pure and simple. And he didn't do the right thing, and it was frustrating. And as the season went on, it just shows how we've struggled. And let's be honest, the football this season has not been enjoyable. I can name 4, maybe 5 games where I've come out of there absolutely buzzing. Other than that, it's been diabolical.
I don't think we've evolved, man. Unfortunately, like I said, if we want to be this team that keeps having years where we're semi-finals and we're flirting, then we've got enough. If we want to go to the next level, it's like what DJB said there. We need a 9. We need more depth. I feel like it's a mixture of things. There's been games where we've dropped points where our players look out of steam. I think there's been games where the manager showed an inability to be flexible in games. I just think it's a mixture of things, man. I think we've dropped too many points from winning positions. Obviously, when they're going and reviewing the games, they're going to look at the 4 losses, and all of them were kind of diabolical in the sense that we looked out of steam. But the draws, man, I know people are going to be silly in the chat. Of course, I'm not asking us to win every game, but 14 draws, even if that was half, what conversations are we having? So we haven't evolved tactically. I still think if we want to be a good team, we've got enough, but you need to be able to answer questions. I've got all the time in the world for Trossard and Martinelli as squad players, but you don't know what you're getting with them. Saka is the only killer we've got that's going to get the numbers. And ironically, Kai Havertz has like 9 goals. If Kai Havertz is one of your more consistent and clinical strikers, then big him up. But that's probably damning on the club. And it does go to January. You do look at the summer. You do look at January. You do look at all the things we've discussed in this opening 38 minutes, not 38 games. I just feel it's been a mixture of stuff, and it's just ultimately another year where we ain't got nothing to celebrate. And I feel sorry for the players, if I'm honest. I think they've showed a lot of adversity. I can criticize them. Obviously, they're the ones playing, but I feel sorry for them, because if we're feeling like this in January, I wonder what they are. And I wouldn't say I feel sorry for Arteta, because you took the job, but those above you, like, what is the remit for the gaffer then? Because you can't want them to seriously get over the line, because we had injuries. We look spent. In hindsight now, just thinking about it, it looked like any sort of juice and intensity we had, it went all into the 2 games against Real Madrid, and we all know how that panned out. Then you look at the Bayern Munich game 2 seasons ago now, where they said we needed X factor, and we've gone into the PSG game in the second leg. I think we tried, but it did. I couldn't help but feel, you know what? Us trying is just them being basically competent, and it just comes down to needing players with stardust. And I keep saying on my streams that if nothing changes, nothing changes. We knew all the issues we've seen this season, they were there last year. They were there going into the summer. And if we don't change it, nothing's gonna happen, man. So it's pretty disappointing. And if anyone doesn't know, obviously we ended the season 10 points behind Liverpool, 3 points ahead of City, 5 points ahead of Chelsea, 32 ahead of United. We know where they're at. And although Spurs won a trophy, we're 36 points ahead of them. I wouldn't trade places with them, but I would love some silverware. I did want to ask you lot then, with the season wrapped up, first thing, who would you give your player of the season to, you guys?
Goalkeeper. I'm giving it to Raya. Raya's been our most consistent performer. You look at the games, the saves he's made, not just domestically, but in Europe as well. The Man United game, we should have been. They should have won the game by a street.
And he made a mistake in that game. Did well.
He made some spectacular saves. The thing about it is that I ain't got no problem with goalkeeper making mistakes, especially when he's asked to be the sweeper keeper. But there were a lot of games where Raya was turned certain defeats into draws. And I know that's no consolation, but the reason why you go for the goalkeeper is because he has been our most consistent performer. There's a lot of players who, in the sort of like the championship rounds, have come into the fore, like Declan Rice. But throughout the whole season, he hasn't played his best football. Thomas Partey, has played is maybe could challenge Raya for probably being our player of the season, and Gabriel Magalhaes, and then you're struggling after that. Timber, yeah, that's 4. But all the rest of the players, and I say it respectfully, is factually they haven't been at their best. Even Odegaard, for instance, is sticks out like a sore thumb. Martinelli hasn't been.
Odegaard, but he's been horrible, man.
Mistakes are creeping into Saliba's game. They're not catastrophic as such. Although you would say that Crystal Palace equaliser at the Emirates was catastrophic.
Yeah, no, I'm leaning towards Raya, but I need Timber in the frame as well. I think Timber's been outstanding. When you think he come back from a horrific knee injury, the demands on him this season has been very high, and he's dealt with a lot of he has dealt with a lot of stuff that's gone his way. Remember, he's had Saka injured as well on his side, so he's had to kind of compensate a lot of the time as well. So for me, it'd be out of Timber and Raya. I would probably lean towards Timber, just literally on his consistency and the way he's defended. But I understand where Kenny's coming from, because Raya's up there definitely on as my top 2, and I agree with Kenny. The rest of them have just not been good enough. I mean, Gabriel has shown, a very high standard. Saliba towards the end of the season now I'm worried. I think his body language has not been good. I think his head may have been turned. He looks like a player whose head's been turned. When he's got Kiwior next to him, he should have been the main man. He should have stepped up. But he's made a few mistakes.
Kiwior's held his hand, if I'm honest. Big up Saliba.
Yeah, and Saliba's, unfortunately, his whole persona towards the end of the season has not been quite there as you'd want to see. And we'll just have to watch this space. But for me, Timber followed by Raya, I think would be my player of the season.
I hear that. Nats, thank you very much for the super chat. Big up DJ in the panel, enjoying this rational convo. At least someone's enjoying it. Is he, Nats? You might not even agree with anything us three are saying, but at least you're listening rather than doing the emotional thing. But you can't help it. You can't help it. So what, we've got Raya, we've got Gabriel. For me, it's I give it Gabriel Magalhaes.
Yeah.
I'd give it Timber second only because of the ACL. But then I feel like I'm underplaying Raya because, again, mistakes happen. People make mistakes, but it's how you react to mistakes. Maybe not so much now, but in the early days at the Emirates, people would make a mistake and heads would drop. And I just feel when certain players have made mistakes, they just keep it going. Like everyone remembers the United game, like Kenny said. He made a mistake. He did save us. He didn't waver in that regard. So I'd give it Magalhaes. Probably an easy one then. Like I'm pretty sure like everyone's probably going to say, I'm going to say mine's Miles Lewis-Skelly, but young player of the season.
Yeah, it's got to be Skelly for me. I mean, he came in by default. Again, the manager gets a lot of praise by a certain fan base that what he's done for Skelly. But Skelly wouldn't have got the opportunity if injuries hadn't arisen. And he got the opportunity and he took it. If he'd have known about Skelly, he wouldn't have wasted all this money on left-backs. So there's another fact. In my eyes, he stumbled across Skelly by default, same as Ben White, bought Ben White as a centre-half, played him right back by default because of injury, discovered that he was a right back, and this is what this manager's been doing half the time he's been at the club. So, but yeah, no, Skelly gets it for me, which is not a shame, but I think if Nwaneri had got a run in the team, I think if the manager had been brave enough to drop the captain, which he should have done, because the captain's been throwing stinkers left, right, and centre pretty much every game, and if an experienced manager like your Contes and people like that, he would have been gone. He'd have been dropped, Nwaneri would have got a chance to shine. But unfortunately, the manager's not brave enough to make those decisions. He's got plan A. Plan A is he plays his captain no matter what. So Nwaneri hasn't really bombed on and had the chances that he should have had. Let's hope when he goes out on loan, he gets that chance.
Hope he don't go on loan, man. There's football for him here, man. There's football for him, man.
I'm not under this manager. I don't think he'll get a run on the games. I don't think this manager likes him.
I want Arteta prove DJB wrong, man. Prove him wrong. He wants to be proven wrong.
I 100%. I want this manager to prove me wrong all through. But I think if this young man was going to get a chance under Arteta, I think we'd have seen it on more occasions than we have this season.
Fair. Kenny, I assume you're going with Miles Lewis-Skelly as well for a young player.
Oh, definitely. He's been a find this season. He's been absolutely fine, and he looks comfortable at this level. You know, there's one of the things, and one thing about his mentality. You know, he doesn't seem phased if he makes a mistake. Let's not get it wrong. You have to praise his mentality. Getting sent off unjustly against Wolves, came back. You know, like it
killed by the media as well.
Yeah, and then West Ham game where he deserved to got sent off, came back like it didn't happen. His mentality and his ability to overcome adversity at such a young age, you've got to respect him. And
shout his mum as well.
His performance against Man City, you can't form his performances in Europe, especially against Real Madrid home and away. You know, it's one of those things where he can only get better. You know, at the moment things are going really well for him.
Honeymoon period.
He scored his first international goal on his debut. So at the moment, the only thing that can stop Miles Lewis-Skelly is injuries and himself. So he's got to keep on evolving as a footballer. You know, showing us each season there's depth to his game. Who knows? He may not be a left back. He may be a midfielder. He may play in the Saka position. You don't know. But one thing is, he's got. One thing that Saka did, and what we admired about Saka, is he evolved, and that's what we want for Miles to evolve. In terms of Nwaneri, all it's shown is just that he's still got a lot to learn. Yeah, they're virtually the same age, but in terms of development, it's night and day at the moment, and that's what happens in football, tactically and physically.
I'd say for Nwaneri, but you need a chance, like what DJB said.
Ethan has had his chances. You know, don't get me wrong. I have to be, as much as I've critical the manager, I have to be honest to my footballing beliefs, and my footballing beliefs does slightly back the manager. I saw enough against Brentford to understand that the manager was right to drop him. I saw enough in quite a few games where he struggled a bit off the ball. So because of my footballing beliefs and because of I back the manager. However, sometimes it can go a bit too far. Sometimes he can sort of, like I said, punish a player too much. Maybe there was something in training that he didn't like. But from my footballing beliefs, I believe that Miles Lewis-Skelly is ahead of him in terms of tactically and the mentality.
And consistency.
At the moment,
oh yeah,
Miles is in front of him. But who knows? If 2 or 3 years' time, we could be talking about Ethan in the same way we've been talking about Bukayo Saka. But one thing he needs to learn.
Players, man.
Yeah, but one thing he needs to learn at this level, it's not about your ability or about your technique. It's about making the right decisions at the right time. And that's where Saka is at the moment. He makes decisions at the right time. A lot of people say that Cole Palmer's better than Saka. But Saka's... No, but let me tell you something. I will pick Saka, not because of his footballing, not because of the tackers. I pick Saka because 9 out of 10 times he makes the right decision. He shoots at the right time. He makes crosses at the right time. He goes to play at the right time. He makes the right decisions for the team. And that's why I pick him. And that's what Ethan needs to learn. Learn from Bukayo Saka and learn how to make the right decisions at the right time, and you'll be selected enough. If you improve your decision making on the ball and are conscious off the ball, it'll come for you, and you'll get more games like your mate Miles Lewis-Skelly.
Yeah,
I think you're right, man.
I mean, totally understand where Kenny's coming from, but this is where the manager comes in. It's the manager's job to coach that in Ethan. It's the manager's job to put an arm around his shoulder and say, look, this is what you got to do. And he may be doing it. He may be doing it, but the way he was kind of, how can I say, left out and everything else, questions have got to be asked. Is he the right manager for Ethan? Some managers ain't. Some managers can't get on even with top managers. They just don't see eye to eye. I mean, we've got another talent coming through in
Max. What a player.
Max. I mean, I've been watching this kid, quite a bit, and from what I've seen, he's like a young Liam Brady, and that's saying something.
That's a massive testament.
That is a massive. He's got everything. He's got 2 feet. He's got awareness. He sees danger. He goes past players. He's got good balance. He's got everything. And again, you want these youngsters to come through. They're assets to the football club, and they're exciting. But you've got to have a manager that's brave enough to guide them in the right direction. You've got to have the manager in to make decisions. You've got to have a manager that's brave enough to drop his starting 11 and certain players if they're not doing it. And throw these kids in there. And this manager don't do it. He sticks to the same format all the time, even when things are not going right. Some of his substitution he makes way too late. And this is what concerns me. That's the only thing that concerns me with these young players under this manager.
Could you then say, because I don't think you're wrong necessarily, DJB, but where you look at, obviously he's not at the club anymore, but a Smith Rowe who left, and Aaron Ramsdale, Martin Odegaard, maybe not so much this year, but a Martin Odegaard, the way Rice has changed into an 8, the Salibas, Gabriel Magalhaes, actually, ironically, Bukayo Saka and Lewis Skelly. Does that give you some level of confidence then on the flip side with Arteta and Nwaneri?
Yeah, I mean, it does to a degree, but as you know, DG, because you've played football and stuff, sometimes when you've got this natural ability and you've got this natural talent, they don't need much coaching. You can't
just need to facilitate it.
You can't coach that. You just need to. You just need to let them go and play. You can't let players with that ability. For instance, you couldn't micromanage people like Eric Cantona back in the day and Paul Murphy, people like that. You'd kill them. You'd absolutely crucify their career. You've got to let them play. You've got to let them express themselves. And you've got to be able to change your tactics accordingly to accommodate that. Saka will always improve no matter what. Saka's got natural talent. He will shine under any manager. He will shine under any manager. I don't look so much towards them players. I look at your Martinellis. Now, Martinelli should be a world beater now. For how long he's been under this manager, and from when he burst on the scene, what we saw of him, this kid should be absolutely a world beater now. He should have everyone lining up to sign him, and he hasn't improved him. They're the players I see. Rice has been in and out this season. He's sort of found his own way, really. All right, he's assisted and he scored more goals because he's had to. He's had to step up,
because big boy pants, man. Big up Rice.
Yeah, and all fairness to him, he's had to step up. But then that's his leading mentality. He stepped up at West Ham. You got to remember when he carried that team. Him and players like Bowen and stuff like that. He carried that team. And if you look at certain games this season, he's carried us in big games.
He's been a goal scoring threat for us 9 times out of 10 away from the magical free kick.
And it shouldn't be. We should be in. See, for how long this manager's been in place, and for the resources he's had, we should not be scratching. We shouldn't be desperate times now. We should now be signing one. We should be in a position where we're signing 1 or 2 players to make us better than what we've already got. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Not 5 or 6 players to improve the whole team. And this is where it's frustrating for me.
It's annoying, man. I don't think you're wrong. Who would you lot give most improved player to? I'll say Kiwior. I think you stood up to maybe Mourinho based on him playing up front, but I'll give it Kiwior for me.
Oh, most improved. Yeah, it is a tough one. I'll say Kiwior's done a job. Yeah, I mean, Kiwior stepped up and he has improved. You know, there was a lot of eyes on him. He hasn't done a lot wrong, really, to be honest. He hasn't pulled up any trees, but he's done a steady job. He has improved.
Yeah,
definitely. Timber for me. I'll say Timber again. I think he's every game you can see that he's become a really good fullback, you know. So yeah, that's where I am with that.
Kenny?
In terms of like your players improved.
Yeah, most improved player. I think it says here. Yeah.
Well, the most improved player for me in a team, obviously, I concur with Kiwior because Kiwior really. But you know what? Why Kiwior's playing looks very improved. He's playing in his position that he's played. He's playing in his right position, and that's why you got to shake his hand and think, you know what? People seem to forget he's played international matches, and he's played in
Polish international.
So playing a big game, big games in the Premiership and playing big games in Europe, it's nothing to him. All he probably lacks is continuity and rhythm because he's not playing every game. So you saw
confidence that comes with that.
He will lead. He'll let the ball bounce. He will be like sixes or sevens. But what's happened is that, you know, he has improved. So in that respect, I'm always going to sort of like be a big fan of his. Another player that, to be honest, he's probably the only one who's really improved because I still think a lot of our players haven't done themselves any justice in terms of their performance on a regular basis. So he's probably the only one you could say, you know what, he's gone up a level. And after that, you're probably really struggling because Mikel Arteta is very strict, not only with his system, it's the personnel as well. Like only certain personnel can play that position. Like for instance, someone's mentioned Benjamin White. The thing is with Benjamin, has enough games, he's been injured quite a bit. And what's happened is that if you look at Timber's taken up right back's position to another level. You know, he
just giving us more gears to his game, to that kind of role.
In essence, he's actually done what he was bought for. He was actually bought to play to deputise at right back and deputise at centre half. What he's done is he's gone beyond the pale. He's actually made the right back position his own, and I know that's going to probably accept a lot of Benjamin White fans. But one thing you can't take away from Timber: when Timber plays, Saliba doesn't have to go out and help Benjamin White. Saliba can easily deal with a player that's got pace and quick feet. Benjamin White is a strong runner, but one thing about Benjamin White is that if a player's got quick feet or pace, he struggles. We saw that in trouble when he started the game. With Timber, you don't really get that situation. In fact, Timber's very frustrating. You look at the first goal. Look at the goal that PSG scored. Now, don't get me wrong. You see Kvaratskhelia. He didn't try and go beyond Timber. He bypassed Timber and gave the ball straight to
and this is a post ACL season from Timber as well. Look how many wingers he's locked up.
Straight to Timber. Gave the ball straight to Dembele and bypassed Timber. Now, normally, if that was Declan Rice, Benjamin White, he'd be running at him. That's not criticism of Benjamin White. It's just that certain players just can take a position to another.
Kryptonite.
You know what I mean? You know, we have loads of arguments about Mikel Arteta, for instance, believed that as he may have rated Kiwior, although I don't think he did. But when he saw Zinchenko playing at left back, he said, "Oh, this guy can take what I need to another level." And sometimes that happens in football. But for me, Timber. But the reason why I don't put him in that improved status because for me, he was already.
Same. I knew about the quality. So not that anyone didn't.
The only player I really put in that improved status is going to have to be Kiwior because Kiwior, when he's played this season, He hasn't let us down, and I'm always going to, give him his flowers. But if you want to sort of go outside the box, I would say Mourinho.
That's why I said him. Yeah, that's why I said him.
You know what I say Mourinho is with Mourinho. I shake his hand because he's turned me around. He's turned me around 360.
Well, he's playing in a semi-final in a position that's not his.
Yeah, but exactly. He's been an auxiliary striker in both in domestically in Europe and in the cups. And you know what? He's given his all, and he has been effective. He's played intelligently, and I thought his performance. Although a lot of people are going to praise Declan for his performances against Real Madrid home and away, and plays
Mourinho was on it, man.
Let's not forget Mourinho was involved in both goals for Saka and Martinelli, and it wasn't just the short passes for the goals. It's his movement took the Real Madrid defenders into areas they didn't want to go. And look at his third goal at the Emirates. The third goal, the way it was from a short back lift. I'd have to say,
well, a couple of good finishes at Mourinho, I must admit.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, Thomas Partey as well. I mean,
we've not.
I mean, because he's been plagued with injuries when he first came to the club. He was in and out, long time on the sidelines. Some runner games, but never really. We never really saw the best of Thomas Partey. Whereas this season. He's improved as well. I mean, he's probably been one of our most consistent midfield players this season, I would say, Thomas Partey. So, yeah, that's another one. But I understand where people saying Mourinho. My biggest problem with Mourinho is if we do sign a striker and he drops back into midfield, which we've seen on occasions.
It's like he forgot how to play midfield, man. That's when up front now.
Exactly. Let's see him in his proper position, and then let's see what a gem we've got. Then that's what I'm saying to him. But I think he's done a job.
I wanted to ask you lot as well because DJB kind of alluded to it with the centre mid thing. I don't know why, but it made me think of Kai Havertz. I know the sample size for Kai Havertz up front versus Mourinho isn't that big, but from what you lot have seen, obviously we want a new striker. But do you lot think Mourinho's a better striker than Kai, or is he just sexier on the ball? Or he looks sexier with our eyes because Kai's never been.
Sorry.
No, sorry, Kenny. All I would say, I mean, Kenny can come in on this if he wants, but I personally think Mourinho's got a little bit more intelligence. He's a little bit more intelligent. He sees things a lot better than Kai. Kai drifts in and out, and he's a fraction behind in his thinking, to be honest. Whereas I think Mourinho up front, he kind of he shows a little bit of more intelligent. Like he'll drop out, then he'll drop back in, and he kind of makes a few little runs late. Hence, that's why he's got on the end of crosses on a couple of times. I mean, I don't know what Kenny thinks. I just think I wouldn't say he's more ball at his feet. I would say there's not a lot between them, but I would say his thinking and his intelligence. I'd say he's slightly ahead of Kai.
No, I think they're kind of different sort of players. Like you're right, you're 100% right. Is that Mourinho plays that position with a sort of a midfielder's eye, i.e., he knows about. Sorry, not with a midfielder's eye, an attacking midfielder's eye, where he knows about spaces, he knows about playing the right pass, and he knows about dropping off, and he knows about getting late into the box. And, surprising defenders. So for that respect, he's fantastic. And obviously, in terms of like his aerial ability, his technique as well from making shots and getting in the right place, he does give us that. But for him and Kai, what Kai gives us kind of a target man, more of a target man option, where he can hold the ball as well. Kai, believe it or not, has got pace. We don't notice it. But he's actually a very strong runner.
Kenny, I can't lie. I don't know, man. I'm sure he has. He's a footballer.
No.
He's faster than Mourinho, but I don't know.
I was watching the Liverpool game last year, and I went, "Oh my God, he's got pace. He's got sneaky pace,
He's a bit lazy.
On the counter-attack. When we play on the counter-attack, Kai's better on the counter-attack than Mourinho in terms of he's got more of a sort of like forwards instincts to get.
He's going to run in behind a lot more.
Get in positions, especially
Mourinho's more available for a pass.
It came at pace. Well, Kai is a very strong one. Trust me. Hey, boy, 10, Dio, I was as shocked as you. I saw the Liverpool game, right? And I was as shocked as you are when I saw him getting away with defenders. I want to say I'm wrong, but I saw it with my own eyes. But I think with Kai, they're different. Kai's a better target man. Kai and the character's a lot better.
Yeah.
And Kai holds the ball up a lot better. So those sort of attributes you want of a striker. But Mourinho gives us something a bit extra, where Mourinho has got an eye of an attacking midfielder where he can make that pass, he can come in late in the box, and he can surprise defenders. So they're different, but effective at the same way. But ultimately, they're not what we need because we want someone with a more orthodox abilities.
Yeah. I was just going to say, to be honest with you, I don't want to see any of them up front next season. You know what I mean? I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. You know, we've muddled through. We've made
internal solutions.
Listen, at the end of the day, we've come away this season winning nothing. And the reason why we've not won anything, one of the main reasons, whether you like it or not, we can talk about midfield players. Defensively, we've been sound. Defensively, we've been okay. You know, we've looked solid. There don't seem to be a lot of problems there, you know. However, you can't gloss the fact that we've not had a goal scorer. You know, we can talk about Mourinho, we can talk about Havetz. They're not the answer, and they're not. They're not going to get us. They're not going to get us where we want to be next season. You know,
no, not at all. And therein lies the problem. Another thing as well is that someone I respect a lot. You know, Clive Palmer, Uncle Clive. I call him Uncle Clive. He's like the godfather of what a lot of people.
Such a nice guy, man. Shout out to him.
He's a godfather of the pod. Me and him are different in that he says Kai is very tactically important, and I see Kai as tactically disruptive, but not in a sort of like because of how he plays. It's because of the fact that his presence in the team is one of the reasons why, you know, we can't get a striker. We can't get the balance in midfield. He has to play. So because he's cost £65 million, because Arteta rates him so highly.
Yeah, he's successful. This is the problem.
So highly, he has to find a place for Kai. But when you look at when you spend money on him, but when Arsenal are going for when Arsenal have agreed personal terms with Sesko, and then Sesko's thinking, hang on here, when am I going to play? Because you've got Kai Havertz inside. It begs a question. And then when you look at the midfield, we're trying to get a balanced midfield. We're getting Zubimendi. He's having a medical. And then we think Thomas Partey's going to sort of like operate as a sort of like backup for Zubimendi and Declan Rice. And then you've got Martin Odegaard on the side. So where does Kai Havertz play? Because that's part of the problem.
Be a squad player.
We don't want Kai Havertz in the midfield because we want the midfield to have a bit more balance, and we want the midfield to have a bit of panache. So we want Zubimendi could play number 6 and number 8, but someone who moves the ball quicker.
See, I think we need an attacking midfield player, someone creative attacking midfield player, someone that's going to get the ball, run at players, open things up, take players on. You know, I think we're too rigid, and I think this player coming in. I think this player coming in is a bit like for like. I think he's similar to what we've already got. He'll just play in front of the back four. He'll just play in front of their back line. He'll look sideways. He'll look backwards.
I think he's there for the Champions League, DJB.
Yeah, possibly.
Not so much for the Premiership.
No,
he's there for the Champions League. Where, you know, if you look at where we've gone wrong in the Champions League last year and this year, maybe just maybe, when we're at our best, we tend to play a very robust game where our athleticism was one of the reasons why we beat Real Madrid. Athleticism was one of the reasons why we smashed PSV and Sporting Lisboa. But in a game like PSG, where you need where you need us to sort of have control of the ball, control the pace of European football. Yeah, that's what Zubimendi's here for. Whilst Thomas Partey can do that, but he gives us the kind of robust Premiership style, athleticism, as well as Declan.
Well, perhaps him coming in will give Declan that role to sort of, play more forward and play more in an advanced role rather than, we'll have to wait and see but as you said, this is where's Mourinho going to come in? This is it. And then he's got to, you know what I mean? Is he getting over Rice? No. Is he going to get over this Zubimendi? I wouldn't have thought so. And this is why I said he wants Sesko. People are saying about Gyokeres and players like this. He's the sort of signing I want, but he wants Sesko because it fits how he plays. Sesko is the perfect player for this manager, and he can also get Havetz in the team. But for me, Sesko's going to be another project. He's going to 100%. It's going to take him time, and we haven't got that time. This club hasn't got time. It's got to hit the ground running. We've got to go through our first 10 fixtures absolutely flawless. We need to be either a point behind, 2 points off, or better still, we need to be top of that league come Christmas dinner. Simple as that. And what I can say about Havetz, the way I describe Havetz, it's like going to a bottle party and him turning up with a case of Coca-Cola. You ain't going to go thirsty, but you're not going to get happy on it, are you? Do you know what I mean? That's how I look at Kai Havertz.
You know what it is with Kai? I just think for me, I don't think we should have bought Kai. I don't think we should have bought him. I don't know whether it was Edu or Arteta, but I think Arteta's identified the talent. I think where Edu's gone wrong is Chelsea probably couldn't believe their luck, man. 65 million, only 5 million less than what they spent. You put him on big money, kind of what Kenny was touching on. It kind of cripples us because you've got to play him. I do think he's one of Arteta's favourites. I do think when I look beyond that, I actually don't hate Kai Havertz. Like, I actually think you get it. I don't think you're the guy. I actually think you give me a lot more than people that I expect.
I don't hate him.
And I see why. I kind of agree with Clive. I can see why, off the ball, in behind, it's like he's better off the ball, which is an issue. Like, we want our ballers to be good with
right, though. Clive is 100% right. And what I say with Clive's right is Kai is seen as a generational player. He was seen as that with Leverkusen, and he was seen like that at Chelsea, and he was seen like that at Arsenal. And you look at how he plays for the German national side, there is effectiveness with Kai. But the thing with Kai is that it's always he's building up to be a top class player. At the moment, he's only effective, but it's very interesting.
That's all it's going to be, man.
Very interesting what you guys were talking about the kind of strikers that we've been linked with. We haven't mentioned Alvarez, but if you want me to sort of be bold, the feeling across Europe at the moment is that Sesko is going to be one of the best strikers in the world. He's an ex-captain.
I think he is. I want Gyokeres.
Mikel Arteta believes that.
We need right now, like what DJB said. We need now.
Therein lies a problem. Mikel Arteta wants a player who's going to be the best, who he believes, and who the rest of Europe's going to believe is going to be one of the best players in the world, and they like the fact that he's evolving, his numbers are evolving, he's only 2021. However, Berta wants right now. He wants Greish right now. And therein lies the problem. And you've just identified, inadvertently, a clash of heads between the sporting director employed by the club, who works with Arteta but doesn't work for Arteta, and Arteta.
You need to clash then.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a clash because the simple reason is that the sporting director wants Arsenal to win right now. He's identified a player. He's identified the way to pay off his get out clause, his get out clause. Get out clause. It's there on a plate, but Mikel Arteta says, "Hang on here, this guy doesn't suit my style of play. He's too direct for what I want to do. He wants to play like from deep. He also.
Well, if Pep can change for Haaland, you can change for Gyokeres, Arteta.
But the fact is that, and I've got to get the ball up. We got to play at a faster style. We got to move the ball a lot quicker. So for instance, we're not going to play out the back. Sometimes we're going to have to play the longer pass to get the best out of this guy. You know what I mean? Whilst Mikel Arteta, if he gets Sesko, he can still play the gradual way he likes to play, i.e. playing out the back and playing a gradual, evolving way of playing football, which he's adopted in the last 2 years.
Forget all of that. I hear it, but Arteta, we need to get what Arsenal need, not necessarily what you need. I know there's intangibles. I kind of Kenny's kind of touching on it. I need you lot to be in terms of Berta and Arteta. You lot need to be on a level playing field. I'm not comparing Arteta to Arsene Wenger, nor am I comparing Berta to David Dean, but it needs to kind of be that, because I do think Edu done a lot wrong. I think Arteta did a lot wrong, but I think when it came down to it, and both of them had their disagreements, and you're asking Kroenke, where do you want to go? They're leaning on Arteta. I need Berta to be able to push back. My thing as well is, it's all fun and game saying I want Gyokeres or Sesko or Julian Alvarez. Make sure you get me a striker, because if Gyokeres goes somewhere else, if Sesko says, no, I'm not going to play instead of Kai Havertz like he did last year and goes elsewhere, I can't imagine Alvarez wants to leave Spain already. If that doesn't happen, we need to be able to pivot. I don't want to hear we tried. All of that's gone now. You need a striker. Like, that's where I'm at with it.
No, I'm with you, DG, because what you got to remember is big clubs act quickly. And we've always been the ones to drag it out. Oh, it's all right. We seem to have this kind of cockiness around us. Oh, it's all right. We're Arsenal. They'll want to come to us. No. Look at Man United. Man United have been in the mud, and yet they've got Cunha. You know, because
Liverpool have just won. They're not celebrating no more. They're getting burst and all these guys.
You can say what you like about Manchester United, but every player, when they finish their career, they want to be able to turn around and say, I played for Man United. I played for Real Madrid.
It's a big club.
It's a big club. Whether you like it or not, they are a massive club, and they will still have a huge pull on players. Now, Gyokeres knows this manager at Man United, and my worry is, if we don't start acting fast, and Arteta and Berta, if they are having disagreements and stuff like that, they've got to think of the club. They've got to think of what we want now. We don't want projects. I don't want to be sitting there next season thinking, oh, you know, when's Sesko going to start? When's he going to start? When's he going to start? Oh, he's playing Havertz this week. He's not playing Sesko. Sesko's coming on in the 55th minute, 60th minute. Right, when's Sesko going to hit the ground running? When's he going to hit the ground running? I don't want that. I don't want that stress next season. I want a number 9 to come in after 2 or 3 games. He's bagged. You know, he's bagged sort of 2, 3, 4 goals. You know what I mean? I don't want this waiting. I've waited for nearly 5 years for a trophy under this manager.
It's time to deliver, man.
He's got to. And you know, you can go on about all the players that we're linked with. I think the first priority for this football club, and they shouldn't be looking at anyone else, is to get a number 9. That should be the
most important thing.
Because they didn't do it last season, and look what it cost us this season. That should be their first priority. When they sit round the table, they should say, "This is what we need. This is what we want." And if we get Gyokeres and then get Sesko later on, I'm all for that.
If it's up to me, bringing 2 forwards, but I can't see us getting 2 and a left winger like Rafa Leao. I don't buy the Leao links anymore.
I can realistically see us only getting about 3 players, DG. I mean, I don't know.
I hope is wrong.
I think until players go out the door, we need to get rid of it. If you're thinking of signing 5, 6, 7 players, forget it, because we need to sell.
Renewed Lokonga as well.
We need to sell. You know, I mean, we need to sell to get players in. So,
what do you lot make of? Sorry to cut you, D, as well, but like, I just don't want to forget. Like, what do you lot make of Morgan Gibbs White as well? Like, we've been linked with him.
I like him. I like him. I think he's exciting. I think he's what we need. I think he's exciting. He's direct. He's the sort of exciting player, the attacking midfield player that we need. You know, and he'll put competition on Odegaard as well. Definitely.
That's what we need. That's exactly what we need. In Buemo, because I'm conscious of I know D's got to go in a sec, so I just want to get his thoughts on everything.
I mean, he's done well, hasn't he, this season?
I'm having him. But with Gyokeres.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you give me Gyokeres, give me him. You give me him as the main man, I've got my doubts, because it's no disrespects to Brentford, When you're playing for Brentford, it's a whole lot different when you're playing for Arsenal, Man United, Man City. The mentality's different. The expectations are different. Everything's different. Declan Rice found this. Declan Rice found it out. You know, he even said, you know, the step up is huge. And you don't quite, especially when you're a striker, because even more pressure's on you.
And
so,
us, we're pinning our hopes in him now as well.
Give me him as a squad player, along with other signings. I'm all for it. If he's going to be our main striker and no one else, I'd be a bit worried.
I think why when you do one thing you can't take away from Mbeumo is that people say he's the main man, but let's not forget Wizard's got 19 goals as well.
Yeah,
they got 2 players with double figures.
In fact, they got 3 players in double figures.
All credit to Frank.
Freedom.
Yeah, and you got Schneider. I think he got 12 goals, and that
they're not missing Toney.
Situation. Of course, you do. We do have this worry that Brian Mbeumo, you know, is he going to be able to be a smaller fish in a massive pond, rather than being a big fish in a small pond, which is Brentford. But the fact is that one thing you can't take away from him is that he's done his hard yards. He's played in the Championship. You know, when it was BMW, him, Ben Rama, and Watkins. He's now had 4 solid years as a Premiership footballer, where he's excelled.
Nice to find gems.
A team that's a middle of the table, a mid-table side. So it's not as if you sign a young player without his Premiership experience. You got a player with Premiership experience, and he can score goals at the highest level. But one thing is that I see where DJB's come from. Is he an Arsenal player? Because when we have Trossard, as much as he is effective, part of me asks myself the question: is Trossard an Arsenal player?
No.
I think he is, man. I think that's harsh. I think he is, man. I think he is. I just think with Trossard, you shouldn't. It goes back to what we was talking about in probably the first hour. It's like squad players shouldn't be regulars. I think Trossard's thing is, yeah. I mean,
but again, comes back to the manager. You got to ask the questions. Can Arteta get out of Mbeumo and Wissa what Thomas Frank has got out of them? You have to ask the questions. I don't know. I think you got to big up Thomas Frank for what he's done at a club like Brentford and for how the players have excelled. You know.
What about Wolves? What about Wolves, DJB? You think about it. People, what's gone under the radar?
Them as well.
Is at Wolves, Cunha and Strand Larson have got double figures. Strand Larson,
incredible, absolutely incredible.
Got 30 goals.
And this is why you've got to ask the questions, isn't it, Kenny? This is why you got to ask the questions. If managers at Wolves and Brentford are getting players in banging goals and getting players into double figures, why aren't we getting the likes of Odegaard and Saka's and
take the handbrake off
Martinelli? This is what I'm saying. You have to look at the bigger picture. You look at these players and they're bagging goals for fun. You look at Martinelli. And you look at Trossard, you look at Saka, you look at Odegaard. Why?
But people would say these teams are not playing low blocks all the time, DJB. That's what people would say.
But everyone
you find a way. You find a way.
I believe you find a way. I think it's a cop out.
Every team in modern football have to contend with the low block and players playing out the back. We try to play a lot of slow build up because of the fact that, you know, everyone's playing the same way, and sometimes we vary it, but everyone in football is scared to sort of like play a diagonal ball. Everyone's scared of
managing periods.
Everyone's scared to shoot from 30 yards. You know
but it's part and parcel also of being at a big club. When you're a manager at a big club,
they respect you.
9 out of 10, you know, on your view is that clubs are going to come and play a low block. That's part and parcel of being a manager at Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, teams like this. You know, teams are going to put a low block in, so you have to find a way. And
we knew about this last season as well. Or
season before. And again, I'll say it again. He's had long enough. He's had long enough now to get to grips of being a football manager in the Premier League at Arsenal. He's had long enough. And this is what I'm saying. He should have sussed out how to play against low blocks.
Just have a plan B, Arteta, because I actually like the way we play, but when it goes left, I just think we die on our swords.
You see his
try
plan
make
B.
a sub in the 85th minute.
You see his plan B at PSG. Thomas Partey, long throw-ins, David Raya kicking the ball 30, 40 yards up the field.
To be honest,
we're laughing, but that was his plan B.
Yeah, but to be honest, it was quite effective whilst they were on the hop, skip, and jump. But when they finally were able to come to terms with our tactics and started to get on the ball, it became like ineffective. But I see what you mean. I think with us, with our plan B, our plan B just depends on the opposition. It depends, and what I mean by our plan B is if an opposition, if teams like Real Madrid, to a certain extent, Man City, PSV, Sporting Lisbon are stupid enough to give us space, we'll kill you. And I think that's our plan B. We don't actually.
Probably why we're better in Europe.
But one thing we are is that if we get a lot of space and teams do leave spaces in behind, we kill them. And I think that's our plan B, is that we wait for the opposition to make a mistake and then we pounce. Man City, what we did was that you look at the first goal, we basically set traps for Man City because the gap between the midfield and the defence was so wide. The Man City's players didn't have the legs. So we just basically said, right, here we go. Let's set some traps for you. And the same thing we did against Sporting Lisbon. By the time it was half time, it was game over because we just set traps for them because they wanted to play the hammering style without hammering. And we think, hello, thanks. All that space, boom, let's have it.
And that's Arteta's issue. Like, do all of that stuff, but just find another way when you need to find another way. It feels like we need to get back to football. It feels, I like it, but it feels like we play a lot of chess. We talk about statistics and field tilts, and we deserve to win the game. I'm not even going to ask you a lot on Arteta's comments about being the best team in the Champions League, because it is what it is. Just find a way, another way. Like, everyone's got to evolve. Arteta, if you can't evolve, you know what you need to do. The same for Martinelli and Odegaard. We as a club are carrying too many individuals and too many players. And a lot of honestly, I don't think a lot of these players are bad players. It's just where we want to go. If we want to stay here and get to semi-finals and sniff at stuff, we've got enough. If we want to get over the line, you've got to be able to adapt, man.
You've got to be brave. And it's true what on the thing, I mean, it's like what Henry alluded to, wasn't it? You know, he was pretty much saying in a nice sort of way, it's time now. You know, patience is running out. You know,
everyone rates you, deliver.
Yeah, and he's kind of calling Arteta out, but he's calling it out for what it is. And if you can't listen to this guy, then who can you listen to? Basically, what you're saying is, look, he's had his bedding in period. He's had his period where he gets his team, and he's more or less sort of saying, look, he's got his team now. He's got his players in. He's got what he wanted. He's had enough time. It's time to deliver.
Exactly. And he was even critical on the injuries and the hamstring injuries and whatnot, in which the physios are going to have to go. Everybody's going to have to self-reflect. The players, Mikel Arteta, the physios. I hope Josh Kroenke, if he cares that much, because another missed opportunity. Like, obviously, and I think there's a lot of fans who talk about, we're back-to-back 8th. That's all great. I'm happy we're not. Credit to everyone who helped us get to this point. I know we always got to think about the future, but the best way to affect that is to seize the present. And I just feel in these 3 years, we haven't done that. It is what it is, though, man.
Too many near misses. And I think
exactly.
We're a team of near misses where, in all intents and purposes, with the exception of this season, we've actually had it in our hands. We went into the championship rounds, i.e. what I call the championship rounds is that if you're still top of the table from Easter Monday onwards, it's yours. It's your championship to lose. And you're looking 3-3. We were 8 points ahead of Man City, albeit they had a game in hand. But we went into that game in Easter Sunday. We played Liverpool. The next day's Easter Monday, Bank Holiday Monday. It's still in our hands to take that title. The same thing occurred as well when we played Man City. Again, it was Easter Sunday, the 31st of March. We go into that game where the onus is on us because we got a superior goal difference to Liverpool. And then 2 weeks later, we pass Easter. It's in our hands. Liverpool lose to Crystal Palace. We lose to Aston Villa, and quietly, Man City are waiting in the wings, and then they pounce.
Blood.
And you think about it. Just think. Do you remember? Even going back, it didn't involve Arsenal. Remember 11 years ago, when Liverpool played Chelsea, and Gerrard slipped, and Demba
he slipped and he went through, didn't it? Yeah.
Liverpool had it in their hands,
and
then Man City quietly played Crystal Palace, and then the onus was on them because they had a great goal difference. They were away with it. The way this Liverpool in 2014, they did to us 10 years later. And they're in the situation. The reason that's why Henry's frustrated. That's why I'm frustrated. It's not a case of we can use our inexperience as a reason why we didn't win. We just want.
That's dead. Learn experience. You got 2 years now fighting. You should have learned.
And I think what he's alighting to as well, he don't seem to be learning from his mistakes. And I think I think Henry's trying to point that out. Really, he's not kind of directly saying it, but if you read through the lines, he's not. Arteta's not learning. He's not
right. Arteta, you're the fool guy.
And this is what I said earlier on in the stream. He's not taking accountability. He's not holding his hands up. He's not saying I got it wrong. He's not saying I should have done this. I should have done that. Next time we'll try this. We'll try something different. He doesn't do that. And this is what I think. This is what Henry's saying as well.
Other teams would have crumbled.
He's not learning from his mistakes. It's the same thing, season in, season out. And let's be honest, we've come runners up because the Premiership. And I'm not taking anything away from Liverpool, by the way. So this is not a dig at Liverpool. I'm not taking anything away from Liverpool. Bless up Liverpool, and all the faults go with the families and everything in that
100%.
But the Premiership has not been brilliant this season, and we've finished second really. And I think if there'd have been more teams involved from the off, I think we'd have even been struggling to finish second this season. I think it's been a poor season in the Premiership. And I think this guy's looking at it, Henry's looking at it and thinking, hang on a minute, if you can't win it this season, when are you going to win it? Because let's be honest, it should have been ours this season. If we'd have done the right thing, done everything we should have done, and the manager would have done everything he would have done, we should have been having that parade.
And even if it wasn't, we could say, you know what, fair enough, you put your best foot forward, but it's all in spite of everything.
Exactly. And you know what? Sometimes you just have to look in the mirror and just say, I've done all what I can, but it's time to go. I think every game's crucial. I really do think he's under pressure next season, big time.
I hope so. So then it leads me to ask this year, that was about Edu. Apparently Edu leaving left senior figures kind of perplexed. And if you could give one piece of advice to Josh Kroenke, what would it be?
Sack Arteta.
Yeah. Look at other options. Look at restarting again. Just look at the situation. Look at the players you've already got. Look at the assets you've got at the club. Saliba, Gabriel, Saka, Skelly. Yeah. Look at the players. Look at the players you've got coming in. Sit down and ask yourself, is this man the right man to take us forward? And if you've got any doubt in your mind, give him his P45 and go and get someone else.
But who would we get? Bearing in mind, Arteta never had any coaching experience. He got the job. Many people would say, who are we going to get? You ain't got an answer, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even saying necessarily sack him, but
it's easy to say who you're going to get, but that shouldn't be a dilemma. When you've seen evidence where, despite the fact that he's got the players, despite the fact that he's got the support of the club financially and support of the managers, he's just taken us to a level where we can compete. We are very hard to beat. However, it happens. Not all managers can take us over the line. We've seen many a football club where the guy who builds the foundation isn't necessarily the man who can take over the line, because in big games it doesn't happen for him. It doesn't happen for the team. We saw that.
They want to do the Wenger thing though, Kenny, man.
What's that?
They want to, clearly the Kroenkes want to do the Wenger thing though, where we're not going to be that. We'll try to keep you in custodian.
But I think what you're saying, if we don't win anything next season, and history and the evidence says we probably won't, on the basis that this manager can't get us over the line, then we are 2/3 of the way of breaking the record we had on Arsene Wenger. We went 9 years without a trophy.
Yeah, it's not good enough. I mean, when you look at men like Conte, what he's done, you know, there's people around. The club's just got to be brave enough and make the decision. But unfortunately, what's going to happen is, it's like everything. You don't kind of rectify the problem. You wait till something happens before you make the decision. You know, if they do it now, things can happen. But unfortunately, what's going to happen is it's going to turn ugly. It's going to turn ugly on the terraces again. It's going to turn ugly. Yeah, no, it's going to turn ugly. The longer it goes on, it won't become very nice. The atmosphere will go out the stadium. You sense it towards the end of the season when you went to games. The atmosphere was being sucked out.
So many available tickets because people checked out.
Yeah, it's all being sucked out, and this is what will happen. This is what will happen. Eventually, the atmosphere will go. People will stop. You know, there'll be fans. Certain fans will stop going, and it will turn toxic. And unfortunately, as much as I want Arteta out, I've got nothing against him personally. I wouldn't like to see it go ugly. I wouldn't like to see him go on horrible terms and horrible circumstances. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying is just do the right thing, but it's not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen, unfortunately.
All we can do is hope, man. My last thing for you lot, yeah, quickly. Well, two things. Would you lot take Jack Grealish for 40 million?
100%. I said this. I'd done a stream the other day, and I brought this up on Jack Grealish, and I said we should be really looking closer to home. There's players in the Premiership right now that we could be looking at. Jack Grealish for one of them would be for me.
Just give him a bit of love. He could be a player for us, man.
I mean, I see him when he played for Aston Villa, when he came to Arsenal, when he played against Arsenal, he absolutely dominated. He run the show. Absolutely run the show. I'd even look at, I mean, West Ham fans hate me for saying it, but I'd even look at a man like Jared Bowen.
I'd love Bowen.
I'd look at Bowen because I think Bowen needs to move. No disrespect to West Ham, but you know, England career and stuff like that. I think he needs to move on, and I'd even look towards Jared Bowen and Buemo. We've touched upon Wissa. You know, all these sort of players. You know what I mean?
Good from the squad.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd get Jack Grealish.
There was a point was buying Premier League players to some degree. Well, we have with Rice, what Ramsdale had Premier League under his belt.
You've got to remember, players like Sesko and all that coming into the Premiership, some people don't take to it straight away. Some people, it can take them a season before they actually get into the full system of playing in the Premiership. We ain't got that time. We just haven't got that time, man. We just haven't.
Arteta and the club don't have that time. They really don't.
We haven't got that time. The manager hasn't got that time.
Dark. I mean, yeah, and it probably unrealistic. But I wanted to know you lot's thoughts, man. Do you lot really have any hope, Kenny and DJB, about Rodrigo as we close out? It can be done.
I think he'll stay at the club. I think he'll stay at Real Madrid. I think he'll fight. He will fight for his place. I think with Jack Grealish, is he hungry? I've seen many a player.
You got a World Cup next year.
Who come from a fellow big club or a fellow competitive club, and they haven't been hungry when they come to Arsenal.
Yeah, Willian.
I'm not putting him in the same level as Sterling, because Sterling was clearly past his best when it came to the big time. But I've seen many players come here and they're not hungry. You know, you look at the way Drake's been treated. You know, he hasn't been selected for an England squad.
Loan with a buy option for Grealish.
Yeah, and another thing as well, he wasn't even. I mean, he didn't even get on. He didn't even get on in the cup final when they needed to play. They bought an Echeverri.
Got demoted from the squad as well for the last day,
year
before.
Last game of the season. So I look at that player and I say, why is it not working out for him at Man City, a big club like that with a big manager? Why is he not able to get the best out of Jack Grealish? The same thing with Marcus Rashford. I had my reservation about Rashford. I said, hang on here, you're at the biggest club in the world, yet you can't shake a leg for the biggest club in the world. What makes you think he's going to do well for us? Or is that suspicious when players like that were still in their prime?
It's a good point.
And they can't get games and they can't do Arsenal. I say, well, what's happened? Is there an injury? Is it attitude? Or have they reached a situation where they burn out? Sometimes you start off really young as a footballer, like Jack and Marcus, and then by the time they get to maybe 28, 29, that's it. They're burnt out, like Sterling has, because they played too much competitive football at a young age, to the extent that their 29-year legs is probably
33,
30, 35.
Even that, yeah.
Because they played. And maybe Jack's in that category.
The only thing I would say about Jack Grealish, he's kind of old school and he's like sort of Declan Rice, that kind of. He just loves playing football, doesn't he? You know, he gives that impression. He just loves being out there. He just wants to play football, you know, and that's what makes him different to what I would look at Sterling and people, you know, people like that.
Can't do any worse than Sterling. If I'm honest.
No, exactly. He won't be easy to manage, I wouldn't have thought. You know what I mean? Especially if he's living in London. He likes a bit of the high life, doesn't he? But yeah, I mean, again, we need depth. We need depth. And if you've got Grealish on the bench and men like this, and you know, if you've got a tidy bench, then it makes, I mean, it can make life a lot easier.
And that's the thing, man. If it was up to me, loan with a buy option, you show your quality, Bob's your uncle, we can go and get him. I don't think he gets enough numbers. I feel Arteta's a bit like Pep in that he's very systemic. So it's like, I don't think Grealish would be his cup of tea. And obviously, he could probably text his pal Pep for a character reference. As you rightly said, DJB, you know, I don't want to criticize Grealish, but he does love the high life in it. So it's probably just a myth in it. And he could also play in Odegaard's role. So I like the illusion, but in reality, it's probably it's not going to work.
That's the only thing I would say with Grealish. He loves playing football. And when he does play, he always gives it 100%. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be a punt, wouldn't it? But if you get him on loan, then who knows? Who knows? Who
knows, man? Win, lose or draw, we're still out here, man. I don't know. And to close up, I don't know I don't want Garnacho. I like Garnacho, but you can't have him and Martinelli. It make me pull my hair out. They're two very frustrating.
No. I wouldn't have Garnacho.
And I don't think he's got the character, man. He just seems like a prima donna. You see what his brother says. Now, fair enough, his brother is another individual.
His younger brother is his
younger brother. Exactly. But we all know, obviously, his younger brother's his own man. He could be just talking for the sake of it. But we all of us all watch football, and everyone in the chat, they're not going to say these things unless it's one, an educated opinion that they're being told stuff, or in two, they've been given to say so. And we all know players tell their family members or people to say little things. And I don't want that in my club. Like, you're not good enough to do any of that. Not that Saka would, but at least if, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo or Saka or one of them kind of players was carrying on like that, I'd say fair enough. Flipping Garnacho, fair enough, man. That's Man United's problem.
Yeah.
Man, we've got too many problems. And adding him.
Say, DG, is go and get me Gyokeres. Go and get me an out number 9, and whoever comes in after that, I'll be willing to support when I'm sitting over there watching them.
We're gonna have to convince Gyokeres' girlfriend and uncle to let him move. Though.
Get me that goal scorer first. Get me that beast of a number 9 first, and then I'll listen to the Seskos and Rodrigo's and all of that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you with that. You know what? Not that we've won trophies, but I feel a lot better speaking with you guys, man. Where can we find you?
You can find me. I've got my new channel up and running. So yeah, DJB, the Arsenal Huddle. So I had Kenny Ken last Friday. I will be doing some more content with Kenny. This Saturday I've got Nortski, and then Sunday I've got Southern Gooner. So yeah, I'm just doing I'm just seeing how it goes, guys. I just enjoy talking and talking football and Arsenal and integrating with the chat. all good, man. So we'll just see how it goes. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Make sure you're subscribing to DJB's channel. It's long overdue.
Yeah,
we know Kenny hasn't got a channel or any plans to get one, but where can they find you?
No kind of plans at the moment. But as I said before, you know, it's a great summer. Still got some big games. We've got the Champions League final on Saturday, and I think, sorry, Chelsea fans, but I hope Real Betis thrash Chelsea.
Yeah.
Too much people are celebrating stuff.
I do not support English clubs in Europe.
No.
I can't be hearing you guys slag my team off, and then all of a sudden we're all friends because we're playing some.
It's better for the country. No,
this is not international football. Like playing, it's just you. It's just one corner of England are playing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Any time an English club plays in Europe, I support the opposition. I'm sure I'm not in a club of one.
And it's the Champions League Saturday. Champions League Saturday. Who are we going with? I mean, I don't know. I've got a sneaky feeling Inter Milan's going to sort of.
I'm going to say Enrique's PSG. You know. But then surely it could be Inter's time. I'm going to go PSG.
Inter is clinical.
Yeah.
They got this mentality. They got this bounce back ability.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Can you imagine with the players he's got? I mean, incredible. But
PSG got the individuals. Inter got the team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be.
And I'm shameless. I'd rather lose to the eventual winners of the tournament. Not that it means anything. At least I could just be like, okay.
Well, we lost to Inter as well.
Well, we lost to both, yeah. But at least one was a dodgy penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. We did lose to both. Do you know what? It's a weird one because I just feel like, because I watch a lot of the documentaries and all the stuff around Luis Enrique's daughter and the coaching, it just feels there's togetherness. And then Inter have been through heartbreak, and it seems like Inzaghi's probably going to leave. So maybe it's that. I can't call it now. You know what? I don't know.
Look, let me tell you something. If God help PSG if they go beyond against Inter, because Inter, when it gets so fun,
you ain't got Yamal.
What we've seen in a lot of football matches at the moment, especially when a team concedes, especially in a final, it's bloody hard for the opposition to get back. We saw it with Crystal Palace last week, Tottenham last week. Oh, God, that hurts. And obviously, it could happen today and it could happen on Sunday. You concede the first goal in Europe in a major cup final at your peril.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be. It'll be tough. I just hope it's a good game. I like the way PSG play. I love watching them. You know, I like the way he's got them playing. He's got them from transition into attack. The way he plays through the lines. Kvaratskhelia coming off.
Baller.
Yeah, and this is what I want to see my club do. I want to see players play with freedom next season. That's what I want to see. I want to see a banging striker and loads of players playing with freedom around him. Come on, you know, let's be positive and let's do it. That's what I want to see.
They say we're not positive, man, but I hope throughout the course of this, people close to 2 hours, big up Kenny Ken and DJB for that. Let's hope, you know what, we're laughing about this season and we've won something. What do you say?
I just want to say thank you for having me on. I enjoy our little chat.
You're not a part of
this. I hope they continue, but you know, hopefully we have some things to talk about. Some transfer news, but at the moment, Let's
I would have hold my breath, but yeah, man.
One thing about it, right, is that patience has got to be a virtue. But I'll leave you one thing because
we've had too much patience.
Well, before I go, you can't have it all. If you want these big names, you have to understand that Berta's job is also to listen to offers for our better players.
Absolutely,
and it may not be a player you like, but you've got to think of the bigger picture.
Where I get nervous
as a football club.
Yeah. 100%. You may have to let players go to get players in, and this is the situation we've put ourselves in. This is what we've done. You know, it could have been avoided, but unfortunately, we can't do it. But no, DJ, all I want to say is thank you very much. Always a pleasure. It's been an amazing chat, sharing it with Kenny Ken and stuff. And let's do it again sometime, brother. It's been really good. Really enjoyed it.
100%, man. The shows are here to stay. Make sure you're following DJB's channel. I'm going to get that put in the description. Send me that over when you got a chance, my guy. Let us know your thoughts. Subscribe. Kenny D. Peace out, unks. Peace. One love. Come on, you guys.